So here we have the Yamaha crankshaft, and I've set it up on V-blocks on the outer two bearings. This is not the way to measure crankshaft run out, but it gives you an indication of how straight the crank is. The proper way to do it is to support the center two bearings on a V-block, but I don't have a V-block that's narrow enough to fit between the two center webs. So I could cut these V-blocks, which would take me a long time and a lot of grinding discs, and then I'll have some V-blocks that are possibly not wide enough for doing a big four-cylinder crank. So I won't be doing that. And this does give you an indication. So I've basically gone and measured the OD of each web. Now the problem with doing this is these ODs of the webs may not be fantastically toleranced from the factory. I mean, you can even see some marks on there. Somebody's actually put some marks on there. I think that's number 4, and this probably has a 3 on it, and that probably has a 2, and that probably has a 1 scratched on it somewhere. But even though they're a machine surface, they're not the most accurately machined surface, because they don't have to be. So it does give you a little indication, and basically so there's all the measurements I've taken. Those are in millimeters, and they are all within Yamaha spec. Yamaha spec is 0.05 to 0.1 millimeters. Believe it or not, 0.1. Yeah, that's huge. And that is usually measured comparing this journal to this journal, which I can't do because I don't have a V-block to fit in the middle. But this gives you an indication how close it is. So it's within factory spec, I would say, if I was able to measure that run out properly. But I have noticed that some of these bearings, they're okay, but they're not like brand new. They're a little tiny bit loose. You can hardly feel it. So because I can't measure this properly, and I'd have to buy yet more tools to measure it properly, and basically doing my research, I found that I can get this crankshaft fully rebuilt with new bearings. So that's 4 new bearings, a new central labyrinth seal, new conrods, new needle bearing big end, new thrust washers. So each side of that conrod there's a thrust washer, all reassembled, all checked for trueness, all checked for run out, for £280, which I think is a friggin' bargain, and that's from one of the many Yamaha 2-stroke crank building specialists in the country. So that's probably what I'm going to do. I'm probably going to bag this up, put it in storage for now, and when it comes the time, send it off to them to get rebuilt. At the same time, I can get, if I pay another £20, so that'll be £300, I can get the uprated TZ Race big end bearings. These have 14 needle rollers in. The TZ ones have 18, and they are much more robust. These rods, possibly there's not much wrong with them. Might be able to reuse them, which might bring the cost down a little bit, but we'll see. Crank looks in pretty decent nick. A couple of scores there, but that's just from where the generator has been sitting on, I think, on here, and has just marked it. So I don't think anything in particular sits on this part of the journal anyway. There's just a bearing here. So yeah, even though it's in good condition, I think if I'm going to do this properly, I might as well spend the 280 quid or 300 quid down the track and get a fully rebuilt crank. Put some new seals on it, even though the seals look pretty good. They're a little bit hard. So it's always worth putting some new seals on. Genuine Yamaha I'll probably use. So at the same time, I've also decided on the barrels that I am not going to reuse the plus 0.25 pistons, because these liners, there are some vertical marks in them, and I have actually, I must make a slight confession, I have actually already scratched the liner just here, and that was due to the bloody collets failing on my little grinder. See if I can give you some light. See that scratch there? So that's no good now. So this has to be bored out. So the same company, they're called PJME. They seem to be well respected. They're up in Wolverhampton somewhere, I think. They can supply me with oversized pistons, Matika I think they are, which are a good brand, pistons, rings, and then rebore the cylinders to suit, and they're the experts. I would not take these cylinders to local engineering engine conditioners, machinists, because they don't do many two-strokes, and once you have rebored and honed these, you then need to go around all of the ports and deburr all the ports, so the rings won't pick up on any sharp edges, and that is a job for the experts as well, because they have the tools to get in there and do that. So I've come to the conclusion, rebuilt crank, new pistons, and they will be able to tell me with that scratch whether I can just go to 0.5 or 0.75 or 1 or 1.5, or you can go all the way up to +3 on these engines. I'd like to keep it as small as possible, so down the track I can reuse these cylinders when new pistons will be required at some stage, because it's two-stroke and new pistons will be required at some stage, even after new ones. So that's my general plan of what I'm going to do with this. So I'm just going to wrap this crank up and get back to my cylinders.